Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. Today we're going to court the divine, a divine love affair. Yeah, and what better way to start out a divine love affair than with Lynn Floyd?
Hi,
Hey, Gary.
everybody. Hi,
Yeah,
how you doing, Gina?
I'm great. I'm excited you're here. I know there are a lot of people are excited you're here today, and we're going to start you off in just a second. I just want to remind everybody to start a watch party on Facebook, share this with your friends, share your YouTube link, all of it, because we're going to have a great day. And we're so excited. Reverend Elizabeth's back, Travis is back, so look out because I'm sure they're full of a lot of energy. All right. So, Gary, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Here we go. This is called One Big Family. If you know it, sing along with me. I wrote this song with my friend Robin Hackett. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. You sing that all again. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
Woo! Yeah. Thank you, Lynn Floyd. So great to have you back with us again today. Hello, beloveds. Well, I'm Reverend Elizabeth Rowley Rowley Hogue, and I am the spiritual director and senior minister of the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. And I would love to say welcome to the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living, where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. This service has been designed especially for you. Welcome home. And now I have an affirmation for you here, and I invite you to please repeat after me. Today I am courting the divine.
Today I am courting the divine.
It is the greatest love of all.
It is the greatest love of all.
Through prayer and meditation,
Through prayer and meditation,
I seek ways to improve my conscious contact with God as I understand it.
I seek ways to improve my conscious contact with God as I understand it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
All right. And now, my friends, Travis will introduce Gary Lynn Floyd.
It is my honor to introduce Gary Lynn Floyd. Good morning. My name is Travis Hogue, and I'm the music director here at the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. Our February 21st musical inspiration is the fabulous Gary Lynn Floyd. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. If this is your first time seeing Gary Lynn Floyd, you're in for a treat. And for those of us that have seen him before, we're in for a treat. All right, so a little bit about Gary. Gary Lynn Floyd is an American singer-songwriter who connects straight to the heart with his soulful style. He writes deep and meaningful music, soul music, and shares these songs to audiences across the country. His style is a mix of pop, rhythm, and blues, combining silky vocals and powerful lyrics. With his piano, Gary is a catalyst for positive change and raises the collective vibration through his music and his welcoming presence on stage and on the screen. Here's some fun facts about Gary you may not know.
Uh-oh.
Gary, as a third grade gymnast, won the silver medal at state gymnastics in Texas. Okay. Woo!
Yes.
Gary
It wasn't the gold,
is-
but it was silver.
Gary is one half of the supergroup Floyd Lula. Huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay. Artist in residency with the Center for Spiritual Living in Reno. And we raise and praise them and thank them for gifting us you for today. And by the way, another fun fact, Gary's latest release is titled Speechless. So those of you that are interested in instrumental music, piano music, this is a great piano meditation vibe. It's called Speechless. And you can find and purchase Gary Lynn Floyd music on GaryLynnFloyd.com or anywhere music is sold. We get ours through iTunes. We've got the whole collection. Without further ado, we love you, Gary. Thank you so much for being with us. Gary Lynn Floyd.
Thank you, Travis.
I wouldn't be surprised if peace broke out all over. I wouldn't be surprised if I found a four-leaf clover. 'Cause miracles abound. They happen all around me every day. I wouldn't be surprised if we put an end to hunger. I wouldn't be surprised if we just kept getting younger. 'Cause miracles abound. They happen all around me every day. And life keeps blessing me with so much good. I wouldn't change it if I could. Blessing me in every way. And if it all turns out okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out every answer. I won't be surprised when we find a cure for cancer. 'Cause miracles abound. They happen all around me every day. And life keeps blessing me with so much good. I wouldn't change it even if I could. Blessing me in every way. And if it all turns out okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be be surprised at all. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And life keeps blessing me with so much good. I wouldn't change it even if I could. Blessing me in every way. And if it all turns out okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And life keeps blessing me with so much good. I wouldn't change it even if I could. Blessing me in every way. And if it all turns out okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Wonderful. Thank you again. Wow. It's now time for our announcements. So we'll move it over to Travis.
Good morning, CSL. That's right. My name is Travis Hogue, and I'm wearing my Announcements Angel Invisible hat. Can you see it? Today is February 21st, 2021, and I will now read our announcements, our mission statement. With everything we do, we aim to raise the vibe. We teach innovative spiritual practices and principles that inspire deeper love of self and others, transformation, a closer relationship with God, freedom from suffering, expansive joy, prosperity, and healing of the body, mind, and spirit. We are a conscious group of positive, inspired, spiritually motivated individuals transforming lives. We just happen to have a spiritual center. Want to check us out? Yeah! All right. Please join us for coffee and conversation directly after the service at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time-ish via Zoom. The link will be in the comments section here, and you can also find it on our center's webpage in the Coffee and Conversation event. Next up, join us for spiritual community connection calls every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. You can find the link on our Facebook page under events. These are Zoom calls, and I invite you all to come and connect in, get a little God shot with building your immunity through spiritual community. All right. Next up, we have a couple of grief groups beginning in February with our beloved Reverend Diane Davison. Both classes will be held online via Zoom Tuesdays for 8 weeks. That's beginning Tuesday, February 23rd through April 13th. Hey, that's my birthday. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, Wednesdays for 8 weeks, February 24th through April 14th at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So one is in the morning, one is in the evenings. $59, which includes a copy of the Grief Recovery Handbook by John W. James and Russell Friedman. The book is included, limited to 12, so you want to be sure to register at our website at the following address, cccsl.org/what's happening. Oh, hey, check this out. Reverend Elizabeth is now available for spiritual coaching sessions by appointment only on Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You'll want to be sure to contact her at revelizabeth@ccccsl.org to book your session or get more details. Next Sunday, we are beyond thrilled to have Amy Steinberg back as our musical inspiration. Woohoo! Definitely not going to want to miss that. And you can find all of this information in our e-news. You want to subscribe to our e-news to keep up with all the amazing events happening within our center by going to our website at cccsl.org. You can choose e-news and follow the instructions there, or you can simply email us at info@ccccsl.org and we'll get you added. And finally, I want to thank you for your ongoing donations to our center during this unique time. Our operations are fully supported by your generosity, and we're looking forward to gathering at our physical center in the future when it's safe. You can donate here on Facebook Live with the donate button or via PayPal at paypal.me/CCCSLLove. You can also visit our landing page and click the donate link in the center of the page. I want to thank you for your consideration. We love you. I miss you. We miss you. I'm so glad to be here with you all. And that, my beloveds, has been the announcements.
Wonderful. Thank you, Travis. Friends, I would like to remind you that if there is something that is heavy on your heart for which you would like prayer for, or perhaps you're looking to manifest something magnificent in your life, you can send your prayer requests to info@ccccsl.org, and our prayer team will pray over them for you. And now, my friends, it is my honor to turn it over to our beloved Charlie Carlin for our Science of Mind reading.
Thank you very much. It's another beautiful day here on this 21st of February. So love is, let's take a look at that. Every heart responds to the warmth of love. Every mind yearns for its embrace, and no life is complete without it. Love really is the fulfillment of the law of good. Love alone can heal the world and enable people to live together in unity and in peace. Believing that love is the great binding force of life, that we alone fulfill the law of good, quietly I say to myself, I believe that God is love. I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of love. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I meet. I believe that love is returned to me by every person I meet. True guidance of love, because I believe in the power of good in the universe. I feel that love is flowing through me in every situation I meet to help every person I contact. Love, love, love opens the way and makes it perfect. Love forgives everything unlike itself, and it purifies everything. Love converts everything that seems commonplace into that which is wonderful. Love converts weakness into strength, fear into power, fear into faith, and an all-conquering power of spirit. As a child walks with its parents, it walks in confidence with life. So, as a child learns to trust, it loves its parents and walks in faith. I walk in confidence with life. As a child, I walked in confidence with life. As an adult, I walk in confidence with life. I feel love everywhere present, within, around, and through me. Within, around, and through all people. Love. Love. In love, I am safe. I am secure, and I am truly loved. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Charlie. And for those of you who have been able to be in Charlie's presence, one of the wonderful things you do, Charlie, is hug someone and say, you are surrounded by love. You are surrounded by love. You are surrounded by love. And that's such a beautiful thing. So I want to invite everybody to just close their eyes, take a deep breath, and recognize that loving presence that Charlie spoke of. knowing that it is one spirit, one God, one energy, whatever you choose to call it, that is that loving presence to your heart. And knowing that this energy of love permeates every fiber of our being. It is in the air, it is in the mountains and the fish and the birds and the trees, and not only this planet, but every universe in the multiverse. It is all things. Therefore, it is always available to us. We are unified with it. It is in every fiber of our being, and we can never be separate from it. So I know that love is expressing itself today on this love stream right here, in this moment. It is expressing through the beautiful music and words of Lynn Floyd, through the words that Charlie spoke, through the beautiful energy and joy that Travis brings to us, and especially through the words and message of Reverend Elizabeth, for the downloads that she gets when she creates her talks for us. That's Spirit working through her, as her. And Spirit says, say this, for my children need to hear it. And that's what we are. We are all children of God. We are expressions of God. And I know that God has something special for us to hear today. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for this community and grateful for this opportunity for Spirit to speak to us through Reverend Elizabeth and through the technology that allows us to be together in our own different spaces on the planet. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful. And so with that, we can just release and allow this energy of love to come into our being. And together we say, and so it is.
All right, this goes out to Travis this morning. It's his special request. So here you go, Travis. I am inspired by a higher love. 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 It's really simple. You can sing along with me if you want to. I am inspired by a higher love. I wrote this song with Amy Steinberg, who will be here next week. So here we go. I am inspired. Here we go. I am inspired by a higher love. I am inspired by a higher love. Yeah. I am inspired by a higher love. I am inspired by a higher love. So let me love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Won't you love me too? Oh yeah. Let me love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Won't you love me too? Love me too. 'Cause when we love each other, there ain't nothing that we two can't do. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. Key change. Higher, 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 higher. I am inspired by a higher love. 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 So let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Love me too. Let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Oh yeah. 'Cause when we love each other, there ain't nothing that we two can't do. All right, sing it with me, one word. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. One more time. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. I am inspired by a higher love. 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 So let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Love me too. Let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Oh yeah.
Wow, we are awake. That's better than coffee, isn't it? Higher, higher. Oh, I'm not going to do it. We'll let Gary do the singing. Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Elizabeth Rowley Hogue, and I'm the spiritual director and senior minister here at the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. And what a blessing and an honor it is to be with you here today. I have to start by saying, hi, Mom. I saw Mama Linda in the little feed here and so many others. So hello to you. I love you. I'm so grateful that you're all here. I'm inspired by a higher love. How about you? When we let ourselves be inspired by this higher love, it's so true. There is nothing that we cannot do. So what a perfect song for today. Thank you. Thank you, Travis, for requesting it. And thank you, Gary, for singing it and bringing it the way that only you can do. What a gift. Woohoo! Well, we could pretty much end this service and be all right. I think it's like between the prayer and the reading from Charlie and Gary's music, I'm pretty inspired. Like I could like go out and be cool. So, feeling that inspiration, I am going to just drop down into my heart space in this moment. And I invite you to join me here in this space. As we remember that February has been all about one journey, many paths, and there's just so much going on in February, is there not? From Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, the first day of Lent for our Christian family, to Valentine's Day, and us as a New Thought spiritual community looking at Lent and knowing that that's a Christian holiday, yes, and asking ourselves, how can we tap into this collective consciousness at this time and really look at things we can release and take on in terms of our thought patterns. If there is something that we've been thinking or some belief that has been ongoing for us that it's time to let go of, now is the time to join in that collective energy and release it, right? Who's with me?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Love my studio audience of one. But the topic for today was a little bit different with our CSL.org and all of the different centers. But as I read through the sermon outline, I was really inspired by a higher love. And what I was inspired to speak about was courting the divine. To me, that's what today was all about. And so that's what we're going to look at today, courting the divine. Don't you love how that sounds? Oh, yeah. We're always courting the divine, but consciously courting the divine, right? And entering into this divine love affair with the invisible presence that I call God, and really cultivating that relationship. And so I remember that, yes, I am in constant communion with the divine. And I invite you to also remember that that is a synonym, or it is synonymous with love. So love with a capital L, constant communion with love itself, as Charlie so eloquently spoke about. And when I think about spirit, love is actually activated within me. It's a powerful, giddy feeling that I get of an all-knowing, all-supporting, generous, good expression of love. And this spirit is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. And so today is really about consciously courting this presence that has courted us for all of time. It is about us giving up the idea that we are not worthy. It's about us walking through our fear to live our lives directed by God or directed by good, being fulfilled and happy. Sounds magnificent, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. So let's dive in. So God is communicating to each one of us on many levels all the time. That's God within us, right? There is no edge to God. It wants us to notice it. It's forever saying, I'm here. I'm here. Can you feel me? Can you see me? Do you sense my presence when the sun shines upon you, warming your skin? Or as you feel a cool breeze across your cheek, can you feel that that is the presence of the divine, the love that lives within you? And it's constantly nudging us from the inside, encouraging us beautifully and gently to take that next step. Speak those words of truth, divine love. Create that art. Call that person. Write those words. Share your gifts, right? It's always doing that. Now, what we are called to do is drop into our heart spaces and let go of that constant thinking mind. Because as we begin to court the divine, we reach the edge of everything our minds know. And so we have so much knowledge, don't we? We have knowledge, and some of us are voracious learners, and we keep going and we want to know more and more and more, and we learn all about things. And then at some point, we reach that edge of all that we know. And what we are called to do is jump off of that ledge. And as we do so, we land in the unknown, which is the land of the heart, the land of love, the land of the mystic and mystical experiences. It's the land of the divine. And this is where our divine love affair happens. Outside of the ego, beyond the thinking mind, beyond the need to judge, control, condemn, and complain about ourselves or others. So I began to court the divine back in 2003. And it was actually when I was in a 12-step program and I reached the 11th step and I was open, I was ready and available. And that's when it began. The 11th step, for those of you who don't know, begins with sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so at the time, this was all new to me. I was building my relationship with God, and I did not let semantics confuse me. And I encourage you to do the same in your journey. I would change any word that didn't fit so it made more sense to me. For example, I didn't believe that God was a him, nor some big daddy in the sky that was going to come down with its giant hand and solve my problems. Although, while I didn't think it was that, I wasn't certain what it was at that point. I couldn't articulate it, but I could feel it. I knew that it was something powerful within me that gave me the moment of clarity, smack dab in the middle of a rock bottom that snapped me out of that addiction and guided me to a 12-step program. Now, in my mind, I changed that sentence to sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood it. And that continued to create an opening for me. And I went a step further saying, okay, I'm open at the top. Show me the way, God, whatever and wherever you are. Just like you snapped me out of that addiction and guided me to the rooms of 12-step programs. And just like that, I began to court the divine. I began to court it. I wanted to experience it, and I actively sought out ways to improve my conscious contact with it. I was open at the top, and that was key for me. So I encourage us all to continue to be open at the top. And as you may or may not know, that time of courtship is a period of development towards an intimate relationship wherein a couple gets to know each other. They may exchange gifts, there may be flowers and beautiful gifts exchanged and dinners. And then there's a decision as to whether there will be an engagement followed by a marriage. It's like that wooing stage. So if we can look at ourselves as being in this wooing stage with the divine, we can really step into a glorious and sort of fun experience of ourselves with seeking the divine everywhere. Now, a reminder that open at the top was truly key for me, to be open at the top. Now, it was such a sacred and holy time for me during this period of time. I was open and I found myself attending different spiritual groups, going to different lectures, meditating more and meditating for longer periods at a time, reading new books like The Power of Now and The Four Agreements. I discovered Adyashanti, and there was a beautiful thing about Adya, which was that he spoke directly to the divine within me. He didn't waste time talking to ego. He went direct, and I feel like that really quickened my awakening of the divine within me. And so one lazy Sunday morning, I found myself sitting out on the balcony of my apartment, drinking coffee and journaling. It was probably close to noon by this time. I said it was a lazy Sunday morning, right? And then my next door neighbor arrived home, and she seemed so joyful and inspired. And it was like coming from the inside. And she told me that she had just returned from church. Now, I never knew her to be a church-going sort of person, so I was slightly taken aback by that, but I was also intrigued. Tell me more, I said. And so she said her friend Ellie and her went to a service at the Center for Spiritual Living, San Jose. And I asked her what that was. And she said, oh, it's this spiritual but not religious type of center. And the sermon the minister gave was so spot on. I felt like he was talking directly to me. It's as if he was following me around this whole week. Plus, he's super hot and he wears great ties. And Ellie and I think he might be gay, but who cares? What a great way to start your Sunday morning. You should check it out sometime. And of course, I was like, what? My mind was blown. I, first of all, hadn't thought about attending church until that moment. And I also had never heard of this concept, spiritual, not religious. And I thought it was so interesting. Plus a hot minister. I was like, yeah, I better check it out. I better go check it out. You know, what is she talking about? And I went to this center, and I have to say that God speaks to us in whatever way we as individualized expressions of it will understand it. It speaks to us in whatever way we can hear it, right? So that was a nudge from the divine. It heard, and it heard it in that funny way, and it went. It nudged me to go, and so I went. I finally went like a month or two later. And first of all, the music was awesome. It was like rocking. They had a band and they were singing songs that I actually knew. And it was just beyond my wildest imagination. There was energy, and it was like a morning concert, a Sunday morning concert. And then most of what he said, Dr. David Bruner, was everything I could relate to, right? There was absolutely so much for me to relate to. Now, a lot of it went right over my head, but I thought I'll get it at some point. I'll get it all in due time and it'll make sense. There was just so much, and it was such a rich and deep experience. But what really affected me was that I felt something there. I felt something, and I felt at home. I felt a sense of joy. I felt a sense of awe. There was like something stirring in me, you know? There was a spiritual awakening. The great mystery itself was present. And so taking that into the next piece of this talk is about having a numinous experience or mystical experiences, because I believe that that's what happened for me at the Center for Spiritual Living San Jose that day. It was a numinous experience because I had a connection. There was like a direct revelation of truth that I could not articulate. I couldn't make sense of, but it was this feeling that I was having. And that comes on a heart level, on a gut level, because believe me, my mind was saying all these other things, like, well, what are they talking about? Blah, 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 blah. But I knew, so something in me knew. Now, the word numinous, it's a fun word. It was derived in the 17th century from the Latin word numen, which means deity or spirit presiding over a thing or space. It describes the power or presence or realization of a divinity. That's what happened to me at the Center for Spiritual Living, San Jose, so many years ago. Now, the science of mind teaches us that a mystic is one who intuitively perceives truth and without conscious mental process arrives at spiritual realization. Now, that's page 419 of the Science of Mind textbook. So, without conscious mental process arrives at spiritual realization. So, mystical experiences are temporary glimpses into our most sacred and ancient home of consciousness. Those who undergo these mystical experiences often describe feelings of bliss, ecstasy, unconditional love, interconnectedness, and oneness with all things. Now, the very nature of a mystical experience, as it were, is its transience, right? So eventually you end up returning to your habitual way of life, but that experience changes you. It changes something deep within you. And oftentimes you don't even realize, but you feel and sense and are aware that you're getting something. Something is happening, right? Something wonderful is happening. And so the experience is life-changing. Now, I want to share one of the life-changing experiences that I had in my courting of the divine, which is continuous, right? But in the beginning stages of my courting the divine, I remember I was seeking through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with it. And so I was open, like I was ready to try different things. And there was a spiritual practice that came into my awareness called the Gospel on My Knees. And I thought it was kind of out there at first. And then I said, well, what the heck? My friend over here who recommended it, he's legit. And so he's got credibility in my book. So he's going to do it and he's recommending it. So I'm going to go for it. So the Gospel on My Knees is a 21-day spiritual practice. And so you can find out more about this particular practice on the website sacreddays.org. And that's all one word, sacreddays.org. It is so good. But it's this whole practice that begins with an opening prayer. And on that website, it guides you through it, and a closing prayer and how to do the whole process. And what it is you're speaking this part of the Bible as if preaching a sermon. And so it's the Gospel of John. And so there's like chapter 1 through 21. You read 1 through 21 in your 21 days. And you're supposed to be on your knees in surrender, because there's a sense of humility, right? We get humble when we go to our knees in that way. And so you're reading from the Bible, and you're not reading it like trying to understand it or get it or comprehend it. You're reading it like you are John and you are preaching the sermon, you are preaching what is happening before you. And you imagine there are people listening. And so going through this, I got to, oh my gosh, I can't even remember exactly. I think it's 11. It might be John 11. But I got to this place where it said, and Jesus wept. And this was the place in the Bible where John was talking about Lazarus. And Jesus was upset about Lazarus and his death. And so, and Jesus wept. Now, mind you, I'm reading this, I'm reading. And then all of a sudden I start crying, and I was like, why am I crying? And I had to stop, and I went back to see what I just read, because I'm reading through it, not trying to remember anything, just reading it, right? And I looked at the words, and Jesus wept. And in that moment, I realized that I had made this connection to the Christ consciousness within me, and Jesus wept, and I wept, right? Do you get that? Do you get that? Yeah. And so this was a mystical and profound experience for me. And then I went through the rest. Something changed in me that day. There was a conscious realization that this Christ consciousness, Christ wasn't about the man out there. There was the presence of Christ within each one of us. And I felt connected to Christianity. I felt connected to Jesus. I felt connected to the Bible. And I felt a sense of oneness beyond my imagination. And so going back to the theme for February, one journey, many paths. So while there are many paths, it all comes back to that same sense of oneness, right? There are different religions that have come up around the world. There are different spiritualities. There's the New Thought and so much more, right? But even though our teaching does not teach about that specifically, the experience that I had of reading the Bible, like that's not part of this teaching, right? But I had an experience, even though I'm not a practicing Christian. Why is that? Is the question that we can ask ourselves and be really present to, right? It's because there's just one thing happening here, and it is God. And I'm so grateful for that. And so the purpose of revealing Christ consciousness in my life is really revealing love, because love really is a healing power. And another mystical experience I wanted to share was with a friend, a ministerial friend. Her name is Harriet Hawkins. Reverend Harriet said to me that she had a loving relationship with God as a child, and she was never feeling limited by the word he. And so that never was an issue for her. And her own biological dad was loving and gentle. So she had no issues or resistance around the male pronouns for God. But she had just finished taking as a student a foundations class at the Celebration Center for Spiritual Living. And this was back in 1993. And she had flown out to San Diego for her first INTA conference. And she shared that to say, I had a beginner's mind, right? And so with the friend, they were exploring old town San Diego, and they walked into a Catholic mission church, and there was this big statue of Mary. And growing up Protestant, this was totally alien to Harriet, totally new. And so she wondered, why was Mary up there and not Jesus? And she totally went into judgment. But then as she was standing in front of the statue, she began to contemplate the science of mind chart that she had just learned in Foundations, right? Our teaching symbol. And she was thinking about how all form was born from the top of the chart. There's first cause at the top. And she pictured this chart in her head and thinking, well, if my body and being in form is a woman, then there must be at the top of the chart a first cause idea of a woman that descended into law and created women. As she got this idea, the statue of Mary came alive and moved toward her, and she became one with the mother. Now, these are mystical experiences that we have. And so I am inviting you to be conscious of these mystical experiences that you have. I know so many of you are having these experiences, and I want to hear about those. Those are the things that blow my hair back, right? Hearing about your connection with the divine because you have been looking for it, you have been courting it, and now you are seeing it. And we want to hear the sharing and the beauty of that, right? And there's so many more experiences. I had to go back and find one of my papers that I had written, and it's too long to share here, but it was from actually, it's a Philosophy 501, and the class was New Myth of God from Ministerial School. And that's when I learned about this idea of a numinous experience, which in my mind is the same as a mystical experience. And I shared like 6 or 7 experiences. And so reading this paper again got me present to that space of being with the divine, of courting the divine, and being available to whatever it wants to show me, which is really about me being in my heart space all the time. And we fall, right? We get out of it and we can start being judgmental and start complaining, or we go off on a tangent of the intellect and all of that. But when we come back to our heart space, that is a safe space. This is the space that can sometimes feel unknown and sometimes feel vulnerable, right? Because we all know that as we get into relationship with our partners, if you imagine back to the time while you were wooing each other and there was a time of courting, and that time of there's a sense of like excitement, right? There's this sense of, are they going to call me, and should I call them? And oh my gosh, they want to go out again, and just all of that, right? So we are invoking that feeling to bring to our relationship with the divine as we are courting it. Look for it everywhere. See if you can find it. Now, that doesn't mean you're just going to be addicted now to searching for this numinous experience or this mystical experience. I'm not saying that. I'm saying be open to it, right? Be open to it. See if you can transform your way of being when you're in a place that you find so holy and sacred. See if you can let yourself be so present to the divine, right? Like when I'm at the ocean, it seems infinite. It seems infinite, right? And this infinite ocean reminds me of other things that are infinite, the divine being number one. So as I'm sitting and observing the ocean, I often get into this space of receptive, mystical awareness. And I invite you to do that same thing. So I wanted to share another story about being on silent retreat. I know I've shared so many stories about this, but these experiences for me have been so profound, and it was an experience of being in silence together, and it was 5 nights. And so I think it was like the 3rd night of retreat, and I wanted to get up early so I could sit in the front row. And so I got up at my time, and I had a roommate, and I hadn't spoken with her at all because we're in silence, right? And so I got in line, and then there's a person that goes around and rings the bell. It's this holy, sacred process of opening up the meditation hall for the day. And so they did their whole ritual, and then we walk in, and as I'm walking in, it occurs to me there are words, divine words, and the words say, wouldn't it be nice if I were to sit next to my roommate today? And then I felt this sense of sweetness, like, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Like we get to spend this sacred time together in the silence as we are on this retreat for the day, right? How cool is that in meditation? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then the doors open, I walk in, and I'm zigzagging around. A lot of spaces are already taken, and it's happening so fast. And I go left, right, left, and I end up at this one spot, and I put my pillows and blankets down for the day, and I turn around, bow to my chair. You're supposed to do that every time before you sit. Turn to the front, bow to the front. And then I sit down, and I'm feeling good, like I'm in the 2nd row, right? And it feels great. It's going to be an awesome day. And I look to my left, and guess who was seated next to me? My roommate. Yes. And so that was a profound experience for me. Now, immediately went into the mind, did I create that? How did that happen? But I had to just let that go. I let it go and instead sat in the sweetness of courting the divine. And this is a product of that, right? So I encourage and invite you all to listen to Spirit. Listen to the divine that is guiding you always. You'll know the difference. Often I hear, well, how do I know if it's the divine or if it's my ego talking? You'll know, trust me. The divine is loving, and there is a sweetness about it, and there is a safety and a vulnerability and a power. It's like a gentle power. So tune into that, my friends. There are so many ways for you to be in conscious contact with the divine. How will you court the divine this week? Maybe it's in the mornings when you're getting ready and you're in the silence and preparing and you're really present and available to Spirit. Maybe it's through sitting in meditation. Maybe it is in exercise, walking on the beach, playing music, writing music, being with your loved ones. Whatever it is, I encourage you to feel this presence this week. Commune with the divine and feel it, see it, sense it everywhere. Speak about it, think about it, journal about it, and so forth. Connect with this presence as much as you can. And so in closing, my friends, God is personal to all who feel its indwelling presence. It's up to each one of us to cultivate a personal relationship with this beloved presence. As in the development of any relationship, your call is to put time into it and place your conscious attention on it. You consciously connect with it every time you are kind, grateful, and loving. Every time you experience one of those eternal and vast moments where awareness and time seems to expand beyond the great beyond, journal about these numinous moments. Recognize them and give thanks for them as they create a receptivity within your heart for more. Let's pray. Oh, so turning our attention inward, I'm so grateful for this moment. I'm so grateful for this time of connection with the divine and remembering that this holy, sacred presence is here right now, and it is in each and every individual everywhere. It's in everyone who is watching now, and I'm so grateful for the love that each one of us has in our hearts as we connect with this presence. God is so good, and it is expressing itself as me and as all of this that I see all around me and all that you see. All of this is God, and it is so good. And I invite each one of us to imagine for the rest of the week all of the goodness, what brings us joy, what do we love to experience, and then we go out and we are present with that love, present with that joy. And it's a capital L and a capital J because all of it is the divine. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I'm alive, as Lynn Floyd has sung to us before. And I'm so grateful for all of the good that is available in my life. And I also speak a word here and now for all of our friends and family in Texas who have been experiencing a severe storm. And there are so many who have been out of power and have had destruction of their homes. And they were out of power during like sub-zero temperatures. And I think things are beginning to be restored now. But what I like to do is place my conscious attention to being grateful for the helpers. I imagine that there are individuals who are at the ready, who are ready to help rebuild, ready to help repair, ready to help pump out water as needed. As I saw the CSL in Dallas had a major flood. and they have had helpers coming in. And so I'm in knowing and claiming and remembering that all is well, that everything is transient, and all of this is returned to a new normal, and it is beautiful and magnificent, and the helpers are there. So thank you, God, for the helpers. Thank you for those beloved souls who have heard the call and need that people need help. And they've heard that call, and not only heard it, but they have answered it. They have said yes. And so in their generosity and from that place of love, something magnificent is happening. And I'm grateful for that. And so as we go forward from here, I know that each of us is connected to the divine, and we remember that we are directed by it and inspired by this source that knows only good for ourselves and our lives. And as we experience and feel and express the good in our lives, we give permission to others to do the same. And that is truly a gift. So thank you, Spirit. I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm so grateful that this prayer is answered. And I know that there's nothing left I can say to have it be more complete than it already is. And in my beautiful love for the divine, I give thanks as I release this prayer, knowing it is so. And so it is.
And so it is.
After hearing your talk, Elizabeth, I changed this song. This is a much better song. It's called One with the Divine. Better for this moment. A dawn is breaking within you. Can you feel the promise of the morning? A heart is waking to this moment. A new day waiting to be born. We are one with the devotion, naked in the truth for all time. We are moved by the emotion. We are one with the divine. We are a portal to awakening. We are living in God's love. Feels like our hearts are finally opening. Forgiveness flows down like a flood. We are one in the devotion, naked in the truth for all time. We are moved by the emotion. We are one with the divine. Standing in the light, arms held open wide, imagining the night. Fears all set aside, no day quite as bright, nothing to be fried. Everything is right, and here we will abide. We are one in the devotion, naked in the truth for all time. We are moved by the emotion. We are one with the divine. We are drenched in the devotion, naked in the truth for all time. We are moved by the emotion. We are one with the divine. We are one with the divine.
Wow. What a perfect song. Thank you, Gary. Gary Lynn Floyd, everyone. Woo! Wow, I loved those words. Forgiveness flows down like a flood, and we are drenched in the devotion. Wow. You nailed it. Thank you so much. Okay, my friends, if this service has been inspiring to you in any way, I invite you to please consider making a donation to our center. Our center is fully funded by your gifts, and we're so grateful for you. And we get to have amazing musicians like Gary Lynn Floyd joining us. So there is a giving button. There should be on the Facebook feed there. It says now you can give with the Central Coast Center for Spiritual Living. And also, if you're not seeing that, you can make your donation to PayPal. It's paypal.me/CCCSL love. And so we do have a giving affirmation, and I invite you to please repeat after me. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift.
From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift.
I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper.
I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper.
It is evidence of my faith and my belief.
It is evidence of my faith and my belief.
It does great work in the world.
It does great work in the world.
And it returns to me multiplied abundantly.
And it returns to me multiplied abundantly.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And friends, won't you know with me that you are never alone, that God is where you are right now and always. And all that we ever need do is turn within. And it is here we will find we are guided, sustained, directed, and inspired by a source that knows only good. Joyously let us make use of these gifts in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. And please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
It is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my pocketbook.
Life is in my
Life is
pocketbook.
everywhere.
Life is everywhere.
I think it.
I think
I
it.
feel it.
I feel
I
it.
believe it.
I believe it.
I express it.
I express it.
I accept it.
I accept it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
And just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Woo!
Got my grateful glasses on.
Oh man, I want those red shades. All right.
That was great. So much fun. Yeah. We're going to eventually head over here to Coffee and Conversation. Gary's going to join us for a little bit. Reverend Elizabeth and Travis are ready to join in too. So we'll see you guys over there in a minute. Take it away, Gary.
Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. I am inspired by a higher love. 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 So let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Love me too. Let me love you, love you, love you, let me love you. Won't you love me too? Yeah, yeah. 'Cause when we love each other, there ain't nothing that we two can't do. One more time, here we go. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. Higher, 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 higher. I am inspired. Love you.
So awesome.